All right, welcome into Better in Green. This is our new segment called the Power Five Picks. We finally put a name onto it. But basically, me and Ethan run through the college football slate with the five biggest matchups. They are usually all the ranked teams. We do have one, as you can see on here, that's a ranked team versus unranked opponent, just a fishy game. But Ethan, glad to have you here. We had a great week last week. You went 4-1, actually, putting your 2-week record at 6-4. I went 3-2, putting my 2-week record at 4-6. So you kind of were seeing it right last week. Are you feeling the same about this week's slate?
Yeah, I loved last week. Never gonna complain about a 4-1 week. However, Missouri with that stupid pick six was my one loser there. So hurts that arguably could have been or should have been 5-0. But yeah, I absolutely loved last week. I don't love this week quite as much, but I still feel pretty confident. I like this week more than the week prior to last week where I went 2-3, I believe.
Yeah.
So yeah, feeling pretty good. I think 3-2, 4-1 is probably likely for this week here.
Yeah, I like it. We'll just get right into it. The biggest matchup by far, the two of the three powerhouses in the Pac-12. We have number 8 Oregon traveling to number 7 Washington. Washington's a 3-point favorite at home. Oregon, or the over/under, is 67.5. What do you think on this one? Tough game. Great game. I'm super excited for it, though.
Yeah, really good game. I like Washington at home minus the points. Yeah, I think Washington has a better defense. Penix is probably I don't know. I'm kicking myself for not betting Penix to win the Heisman at the beginning of the year. It crossed my mind. The reason I held off is because I just thought there was so much hype around Caleb Williams that maybe even if Penix had a better year, that Williams would still win it. And I still think that could come true. I think Penix is going to be the most deserving at the end of the season. Not sure if he'll win it or not. But, yeah, both teams on bye last week, so no rest advantage here. Washington has Arizona State on deck. Oregon, this is the start of kind of a gauntlet for them. Washington, then Washington State, then Utah, a breather with Cal, and then USC. So 4 of their next 5 are against ranked opponents. And, typically I do think teams who start tough schedules like that, like Oregon, want to come in and get that first win and kind of build that momentum. But ultimately, I just think Washington's better. They're home. Getting them at -3, it's a price that I'm willing to lay. And yeah, I just think Washington's able to put all their effort into this game with Arizona State on deck. I would look to fade Washington next week if they do end up winning and covering this game. But yeah, I just ultimately think Washington probably wins the Pac-12, is the better team, and I think they can cover 3 at home against Oregon.
Yeah, this one's tough for me. The biggest question mark is if Oregon's defense, which is actually great this year, I think they're like 250 yards per game they're allowing, which is pretty impressive for a Pac-12 team. If they can stop Washington State, Washington, who's having, I think, 570 yards of total offense, 460 yards through the air. As you just said, Penix, if it wasn't for Caleb Williams, would be the Heisman front runner easily. So can Oregon's elite defense for the Pac-12 stop Washington's the best passing offense in the country? I think they can. So I'm going to take Oregon at the +3 here. I liked it a lot earlier in the week. The more I started looking at this, I don't feel as confident. I do like Washington quite a bit. They are my favorite Pac-12 team, will be one of my favorite Big Ten teams, obviously not Michigan, but they're joining the Big Ten in a couple years. So I'm really looking forward to Washington, but I think Oregon can stop Washington a little bit. It's going to be a very high-scoring game regardless, but I'm just going to trust. I just have a little more faith in Bo Nix than Michael Penix Jr. So I'm going to go Oregon here. I liked it a lot, as I said earlier, but not as confident now. Super excited for this game. Even if I don't have a bet for it, I will be probably having all my attention on this game on Saturday. So looking forward to that. A common team we've had on the show, I think all 3 times now, is Notre Dame. Notre Dame is at home. They're 21st in the country. They are a 2.5-point favorite against number 10 ranked USC. I'll take this first. Notre Dame's last 3 games have been not great. They lost, and they have played great opponents as well. They lost to Ohio State. They lost to Louisville last week, and then they barely beat Duke. They should have lost to Duke, in my opinion. USC, however, also has sucked, but they also have not, or they have not played great teams. USC, the last 3 games have not even came close to covering. That's against Arizona State, Colorado, and Arizona. I believe they took Arizona to double or triple overtime last weekend. And it's the funniest thing that USC, who's undefeated, was ranked number 5 at one point, keeps winning, yet they keep dropping in the ranks. And that's finally someone gets it right. Thank God for the poll system. I think you would think they would be super high on USC. So it's good to see them going down in the rankings, even though they're winning. However, I'm not impressed by Notre Dame, and I hate USC, but I'm going to take USC at plus 2.5 here. I think this is a great game for them to put some respect on their name and have people believe them, even though they are frauds. I still hate them, but Notre Dame, I don't trust them. They looked not great the last 3 games. They lost 2 of their last 3, should be 3 of their last 3. I'm going to take USC here in I think maybe a 10, 14-point win, kind of similar to last year. So I hate that I'm saying USC, but I think it's the right side.
Yeah, this game to me is the toughest on the slate that we're talking about here. I keep going back and forth, but I am going to land, I believe, with you on USC here. If Notre Dame won last week, I think I'd be all over Notre Dame, but that is their second loss of the year, like you mentioned. Their national championship or college football playoff chances are basically over at this point. It's going to be really tough to impossible to get in with 2 losses. So, just tough for them to get up for another ranked game. They're 4th in a row, as you mentioned. And then USC, on the other hand, probably can't lose this game. The Pac-12 is pretty stacked. One loss, it's not going to take them out of the college football playoff talks by any means, especially with their strength of schedule. But they do have Utah on deck as well, so that's a very losable game for USC. So I think they just have more to play for at this point in the season. I like the over in this game. I mean, it's hard not to like an over with USC. It's only 60 points, I believe, right now, which tells me this is going to be a back-and-forth shootout. I like USC against anybody in a shootout, even though Notre Dame's going to get theirs with USC's horrible defense. But yeah, I just think it's tough. But I think USC is just they still have their hopes and dreams of making the college football playoff and winning a championship. And I just think this is a big spot where they could really use a win here. Like you said, kind of put some respect on their name. So I'll take the shot with USC as the dog here.
Love it. I was for sure thinking you were going to go Notre Dame there. So happy we're on the right side. Next, we have number 25 Miami at number 12 North Carolina. North Carolina is a 3.5-point favorite at home. Over/under sitting at 56.5. I'm sure if you're listening to this, you saw what happened in the Miami game. Miami's kind of just a joke. I was watching, they were playing at 7. We were at a bar. Michigan played at 7:30, so we were watching a little bit of Miami pregame. First of all, their jerseys were disgusting last game. And second of all, no one goes to their games. No one cares about Miami football. This isn't the U of old times, early 2000s. No one cares. And to make it even more funny, they had a good season going. They spanked Texas A&M. They were into the low teens on a ranking. And then all they were away from a win was a kneel, and their coach is a bozo and decided to run the ball. They fumbled, and Georgia Tech went down and scored a touchdown to win it. So laughable program. No one cares about them up against USC, who's 5-0, but has not played anyone. What are your thoughts on this game?
Yeah, I did not realize this, but I guess Cristobal has been on the wrong side of that non-kneel fumble, lose the game back when he coached for Oregon. So this was the second time making that mistake. So, yeah, honestly, mind-blowing. But I have a strong lead in this game. I like Miami a lot. And it's really for that reason. No one's going to want to back Miami in this game after what they just saw. It was disgusting. It's not going to happen again, even though it's happened twice with Cristobal at coach, but it's not going to happen back-to-back weeks. UNC, I mean, they're 12th ranked team in the nation, but who have they really beat? They won at South Carolina, which, I mean, that's an okay win. App State had them on the ropes. Double overtime. That was basically a coin flip at the end of that. And then they played Minnesota, Pittsburgh, and Syracuse. So not too impressed there. Miami, on the other hand, yeah, tough loss to Georgia Tech. But I do think they were probably caught looking ahead a little bit to even have that game remain close and ultimately blunder it in the end. Lucky for them, they still do have a strong schedule left. Clemson, Florida State, Louisville, and this North Carolina game. If they run the table, they're still live to win the ACC and make the college football playoff. I mean, it's not going to happen, but obviously in their heads, they're still live. So I think they really need to come out and win this game. I'm not sure if they'll be able to win outright, but I'd sprinkle the money line here. I think UNC is definitely live. I'll take them +3, but yeah, it's pretty strong play here on you on Miami.
Yeah, I am unfortunately on the US or UNC side. I agree with every single one of your arguments there. I think UNC is a little square in this play. It probably is going to get down to, well, actually, I don't really know where this line is going to go. It's sitting at 3.5 right now. It might get down to 3. I could see it very well going to 4. I don't know where the line is going to move on this one. I can't trust this Miami team. I don't know. And UNC, as you just said, hasn't played anyone. Their biggest wins against South Carolina, who has not been great this year. They went to overtime with App State, but I don't know. You're right. Either Miami could really bounce back and still have a lot of faith that the season is going to be successful, but I just think the kind of player at Miami, the kind of coaches at Miami, just poor decisions, poor everything. I just think they are kind of throwing in the towel, and I'm not going to put my faith in a bunch of these guys and coaches that are making a terrible decision to really come back and be energetic about this game. So I agree, though. It could go both ways. I'm just going to take North Carolina. Yeah, I don't love it. Not probably my least favorite game on the slate is this matchup. Next, probably my favorite game on the slate, number 18 UCLA traveling to number 15 Oregon State. Oregon State is a 3.5-point favorite at home. Over under is 54. I want to see what you have because I think we're going to be on the same side. But yeah, this is my favorite play. So hopefully we are on the same side in this one.
Yeah, I like the under in this game with UCLA's defense. You know, I think we've talked about this already a couple shows now, but it's just weird to have a good defense in the Pac-12. We actually have a couple of them with Utah, and you mentioned Oregon. Washington's defense isn't bad. UCLA. So I do like the under, but I kind of like Oregon State to cover this spread here. This is kind of the zigzag here. We both loved UCLA in that trap line last week against Washington State, where they were a 3-point home favorite against, I forgot how high Washington State was last week, 11 or something.
Like that, yeah.
Ranked pretty high up there. I know I was on UCLA. I know your opinion was UCLA. I'm not sure if you bet it or not, but yeah, they got the win. I think they're probably feeling pretty good about themselves. Oregon State, on the other hand, did have that loss to Washington State. So I think a lot of people are going to see, oh, Oregon State lost to Washington State. UCLA beat Washington State, easy UCLA. Just don't think it works that way. Don't think that's going to happen. Both teams don't really have much of a look ahead on deck. It's Stanford for UCLA and it's Arizona for Oregon State. So I think we see max effort in this game, which also puts me on the under. I think the defenses are both going to kind of shine here. But yeah, just kind of that zigzag way that I think we both like to bet. Kind of just puts me on Oregon State here.
Yeah, very high on Oregon State. -3.5. I'm not quite sure what their coach's name is, but he just doesn't lose at home. He loves to play at home, and he loves to win at home. And UCLA has a great rush defense. Oregon State has a great rushing offense, so it's going to be a battle of two team strengths against each other. But I'm going to take Oregon State at home. I mean, they love to win at home. They're finally good. They have DJU. This Oregon State team that just really hasn't had a whole lot of success in the years. In past years. Now they have an opportunity to have another huge home game win. We remember they beat Utah pretty solidly at home last time they had a ranked opponent. And UCLA, they're fine. I don't love them. I think that win over Washington State, I mean, it was the squarest play of the day to take Washington State. So I think everyone was on UCLA for a reason. I think Washington State was a little overjuiced. So sorry, there's a helicopter going over. I love Oregon State. I think Oregon State wins by 14 points here, wins at home, gets it done. So, yeah, pretty high about that game. Is my favorite of the day. Now the oddest line, the final game, the oddest line. It's not two ranked opponents, but it is a undefeated team, Louisville, number 14 in the country, traveling to Pitt. Pitt has one win on the year. They are sitting at 1-4. Louisville is a 7.5 point favorite, which is very low. I know they're traveling to Pitt. Pitt's a very tough place to play, but Pittsburgh's terrible this year. And Louisville just had a super emotional win over Notre Dame. They're 14th in the country, which I think is the highest in Louisville's history. Again, 6-0, 5-0, 6-0. I think we're both on the same side here. This is kind of our kind of game to bet. I'll take it first. It's got to be Pitt here. Pitt plus 7.5. I mean, on paper, you're looking at these two teams. You're looking at Louisville's wins. You're looking at Pitt's losses. This should be at least 10.5 points in favor of Louisville. It's at 7.5. So you unfortunately, or you even get that hook at Pitt. It just has to be Pitt. I hate it. It's disgusting, but it just has to be Pitt for me. I think that's the only way to bet this game is to take the ugly side.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. Quick note on Louisville, they might have been higher with Lamar. I know they had a few good years there, but not sure. But yeah, I mean, they're completely overvalued, overinflated at this point after that win against Notre Dame, which we mentioned Notre Dame was in a really tough scheduling spot there with Ohio State, the Duke, and then USC on deck. That was their easiest kind of breather game, and I think they got caught. I think Pitt's the only way to look at in this game. Not only that, Louisville has Duke on deck next, so in between two ranked matchups. Unfortunately, this line was 10.5 at the open. It's been bet all the way down to 7.5, so a lot of people are on Pitt as well. But I still think there's value on Pitt plus 7.5. I'll call for it. I think Pitt wins outright. I see this kind of similar to that Notre Dame Louisville game last week, except now Pittsburgh on the winning end. I could see like a 33-14 type Pittsburgh just domination here. I'll gladly take 7.5. This is probably my favorite bet that we're talking about. Yeah, I really think Pitt wins this one outright, so I'll gladly take over a touchdown with them. I think
Lovely.
Way overrated.
I could very well see that happening. Again, it's just a really fishy line, and the smart person probably just stays away from these games, but I think me and you do kind of find an edge. I don't know our exact records of when, and it's a little, obscure of how you categorize these games as trap bets is what I like to call them. But yeah, you probably should just stay away. But I love betting the ugly line because I feel like there's a reason that Vegas has it like that. There's a lot of people that just look at the obvious. We have a game on Thursday night that's kind of similar like that, the Houston game. But yeah, I think there's only one way to bet it, like you said. And this line to me suggests that Vegas thinks Pittsburgh's going to win the game. So I know that sounds weird if you're from a betting aspect. How are they going to win if they're a 7.5 point dog? But it's just one of those lines that I think Pittsburgh's going to win it outright. So that's all we got, boys. We try to keep this one nice and simple for you. Very excited for the weekend. Again, no Big Ten teams. The Big Ten, me and Ethan are both Big Ten guys. I'm Michigan, he's State. Ben is Ohio State. So we're kind of a Big Ten podcast, but we really haven't had any Big Ten showdowns yet. So that is coming. I believe we have a couple coming up soon. I know Michigan's schedule in November is a gauntlet. So hopefully we can talk some Big Ten teams here. Again, if you want more on football, I most likely will have a couple more blogs on our website. That is bettergreen.com. For more football games that we don't talk about on the show. But that's all I got. Ethan, do you have anything else before we close out here?
Yeah, we do have Michigan State next weekend, so I'll probably talk about that just because, even though obviously it's on paper should be a blowout. State always
never is.
No, State will step up for that game, but we'll probably talk about that. Excited for it nonetheless, even though it's not much of a shouldn't be much of a competition. But also, how about that Denver outright win last night? That's all I got.
That was nice. Denver on the money line. I saw plus 480. I got it at plus 470. Plus 480 on Denver money line. Wow.
Yeah.
It pays to listen, guys.
Pays to listen.
All right. We'll see you guys next time. Thanks for tuning in.
Yeah, we'll see you guys. Thanks.